Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Now today I'd like to return back to the US and take a look at one of their kosher rations. Now this was kindly sent to me by Karsten, a good friend of the reviewing community. So let's get these on a table and see what these packs contain. So, as you can see, we now have here on the table this Kosher M.R.E. sent to me by Karsten. Now, I don't know very much about this actual M.R.E. It is produced in the US, the United States, by a company called Labrut Meals. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And I believe they are kosher and they're suitable for the Jewish community. Now, I think these have been used in some disasters and civilian relief efforts, but apart from that I can find very little information on this ration apart from it is US produced and distributed. So let's have a look. What do we get in a kosher ration? Well, as you can see, it is coming in two bags. Karsten informs me this is the accessory pack and they come in a box of a dozen or so, and they have separately the mains which also come in a separate box of a dozen or so, so you can mix and match your mains accordingly, which I think is a nice touch. So let's have a look at what we get first in the accessory pack. Now, it's a very simple sealed, heat sealed plastic bag. I can see a US style FRH. So let's bring back in one of my old folding knives that we've now seen one or two times before, and we'll just slit the bag and see what this bag contains. Now, as I say, I could find very little information on this. Only one or two have been reviewed, and again the information there is quite sketchy, so let's just see what we find. Straight off the top we have a set of tissues or teepees of whatever the need arises. We have some potassium fortified iced tea. There is some, I don't know if you see that there, some hot chocolate. There is some roasted and salted peanuts. I can only assume these are brands known within the US. They're certainly not known here in the UK. We have some Sanka coffee. That's certainly a brand I've never tried before. We have some Tropical Treasures, which I think just looks like a tropical fruit mix. There's the customary book matches. We have some Baked in Brooklyn sea salt pita chips. It's nice to have some crisps or chips as they're called in the US. There is some crispy corn puffs. Again, I'm not sure what they are. Kid tested. They may be a breakfast cereal. I'll have to read up on them. There is a little bit of a sticky sweet or sticky candy. We have some trail mix. So there's quite a lot of the mixes and nuts style bags. Now, I've seen Nature Valley. We have Nature Valley bars here in the UK, but I've never seen the peanut butter, so that's a new flavour for me to try. Peanut butter Nature Valley bar. Still going. We have a second candy. There is a second iced tea. So there's two teas, one coffee. Still going. fresh nap, a moist towelette with the old US stars and stripes there. We have some, what I can only assume is pepper. Sugar. Sorry, Domino's sugar. So there's only one sugar, one coffee. There is the standard military looking FRH, which we all know now are very hit and miss, and a small accessory pack which we shall take a look at. And it looks like it contains a very simple knife, fork, spoon. Over there. A single napkin or little towel, and a sachet of salt and pepper. So that is the accessory pack, and along with that we have this mains smoked beef paprikash with noodles and vegetables, and again this is kosher certified in the US. Again, it's not a thing that I've ever tried, so it'll be a nice new one for me to try here. And we'll just get the mains out, have a better look. Try to look for a date code. Very difficult, whether that's a 2016 maybe. There is a beef paprikash, maybe a 2016. Not the sort of date codes I'm used to on the US military, but I'm sure it will be fine. So that is the contents of the kosher M.R.E. So let's get these on a tray and see what they look and taste like. Now, as you can see, I have everything laid out on the tray, and looking around this for some sort of dates, I noticed that the Hitter chips has an expiry date, I don't know if you can see that there, of 2017, and the date on the paprikash is 14261, so I think that's like the Canadian IMP, 261st day of 2014, so I think it's a 2014 stock. I also tried to figure out what would be the best sort of meal combinations, and from that I think this is meant to be a small 24-hour pack, because we possibly have a breakfast with the crunchy peanut butter Nature Valley and the Kix cereal, so that's probably breakfast. For lunchtime there's a whole load of snacks, peanuts, trail mix, tropical mix and chips. And for the evening meal we have the mains, the smoked beef paprikash. So a 24-hour, but I would say a very small, very light 24-hour ration. Now I'm going to start by making up the drinks. Now I'll start with this iced tea. It says potassium fortified, so I do need to be careful with this. I do take potassium based medication and I'm not supposed to have too much extra potassium, but as long as I don't drink the entire glass I'm sure I should be okay. So it is just like a little powder there, a little tea coloured powder, and I'll use the cutlery that came with the set, and I'll just give that I don't know, about half a glass. There is no directions on the packet, so I would just give it a best guess at half a glass there. Okay, it dissolved nice and easily. Just clean the spoon, and then I think we'll move on to the hot chocolate. The reflection's very bad on these silver foils, but that is a hot chocolate. And again, just bring in my little knife. And these foil bags are quite difficult to get through on the seams. My knife is very sharp, but it does seem to be giving it some trouble. And so I like to keep my knives very sharp. You will find a blunt knife is far more dangerous than an extra sharp one. So it's a nice typical sort of chocolate powder there. And I'll bring in some hot water, and again about half a mug, just because Doesn't any real instructions on the front of the packet there. But like most of these things, I think you make them to your own taste. Okay, just rinse the spoon. And the final drink I've got is some Sanka coffee, instant coffee. Not a brand I've heard of here in the UK. It says caffeine free, so it's a decaffeinated coffee. Probably very well known in the US. A light powder there, a very small granule powder, and I will add the 1 sugar that came with this. There is no whiteners or milk powders in this pack, so we are stuck with black coffee. I do prefer white. Again, approximately half a mug to give it its best chance of having some flavour. And I think what I'll do is I'll work my way around the table, opening them up as I go. This is probably, as I said earlier, a 24-hour ration, and I normally do my 24-hour rations in 2 parts, but it does look a small 24-hour, so I'm going to continue to do this in 1. So we have some salted peanuts. Take the top off these. Now these are a couple of years past their best before date, so I'm hoping that's not affected them too much. So I'll put a few peanuts in there, leave the rest in the bag. We have some Kicks. Now I wasn't sure what these are. Again, people in the US are probably laughing at me, but they are a kids cereal, a breakfast cereal. Apparently been around for a long time in the US, but for a breakfast cereal, where's the milk? There is no milk powders in here. If there was 2 or 3 powders of milk sachets, you could have poured it in, added a little bit of water, but you have to eat them dry, so I'll try them dry. I do apologise for not setting any fans in the US, but there is no milk in this ration, so they'll have to be eaten as is. We'll have a look at this Nature Valley Crunchy. Now this again is a couple of years past its best before, February 2017, so about 2.5 years past its best. So as soon as the commercial pack, I'm not expecting too much there. And it's a standard looking Nature Valley bar. There is a sweet trail mix. Again, I shall just empty a few of those out and try and keep them separate from the, they do look past their best. Put those there. And the Tropical Treasures, same again, a few on the side of the plate there. I'll have a few this side. Called Tropical Treasures, but it just looks like it's excuse me, it's pretty much just banana and raisin mix. Now, I'm not holding out much hope for the sea salt pitta. These are 2.5 years out of date, so as you know, crisps and chips don't generally go too far beyond, but they do actually feel quite crunchy still, crispy still. So we'll just get a few of those out for now, leave them to one side. And finally, that brings us to the mains, the smoked beef paprikash. Very hot. I've had it boiling for a good 10 minutes. If it is past its best before date, I'm sure it's still edible, but I always like to give it a good boil just to make sure it's as sterile as it can be. Now there looks like there was some pasta in there. I'll just empty that out. Pasta and vegetables and some smoked beef. There's a nice smell of the artificial smoking there. Just while I'm hands. So, where do we start? I think I'll start with this potassium fortified iced tea. Now, it looks like an iced tea. There is a slight smell of lemon there. It's quite sharp. The lemon is quite pronounced. More of a lemon flavour than a tea flavour, but it is actually, it's a quite pleasant, pleasing cold drink. Slight tea flavour, but the lemon is more overpowering to the point where it actually gets the inside of your cheeks when you take a sip. But that said, it's still a very pleasant cold tea drink. Let's move along to the coffee. Reasonably bitter. Perhaps could do with another sugar, but overall that's not a bad decaffeinated coffee. You're never going to get filter coffee in a ration, but as an instant warming coffee style substitute, being decaffeinated, that's not a bad attempt, not bad at all. Now we'll come to the chocolate. Obviously I could have mixed the chocolate with the coffee again and made some sort of mocha or mocha. That's quite disappointing. Quite weak, quite uninspiring. It is a chocolate flavoured drink, but personally I will put another couple of spoons of the chocolate powder in there just to give you that a bit more of the chocolate oomph. As it is, quite watery, sweet, chocolatey flavoured background taste, but for me a little bit disappointing. Another couple of spoons of chocolate powder would have made that far better. Maybe the mocha would have been the way to go, the coffee and the chocolate together, but they're all comforting and they're warming in their own way. It would be nice on a cold day. Now, we'll have a look at the roasted salted peanuts. Now, as I say, these are a couple of years past their best, so I'm not expecting too much. Surprisingly still crisp. Very little salt. In fact, I can't personally taste any salt on there. They're more like just a roasted peanut, but for their age, they've survived surprisingly well. They're still perfectly edible, slightly off fresh, but not by much. Still an enjoyable nut. Personally, though, a little more salt would have been nice, but for their age, a good, decent nut. Let's taste this tea to refresh my palate. I'm going to carry on with the nut theme, and I'll have a look at the trail mix. Now these nuts do look a little bit more sorry for themselves. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. They do look like they've got a little bit more of a dry powder on them. So I'll try the nuts of those. Not rancid, but you can tell they have gone past their best. Plain, simple peanut, past its best. And the raisins, also dry, and now past its best. But you can tell 2 years ago, when they was in date, that would have been a decent sweet trail mix. So nice, simple, sweet trail mix. Would have been when it was in its prime, just unfortunately slightly over its date. Have a look at some of these tropical treasures, which to me basically looks like banana chips, raisins and the odd little peanut. Again, the peanut's looking a little bit sorry for itself, so we'll try the banana chip. You can probably hear, still crispy, still crunchy. Absolutely nothing wrong with the banana chips, raisins. A little bit dry, still sweet, a little bit dry, lost its juiciness on the raisin, and we'll try them with one of the nuts. It's the nuts again which has suffered slightly the most. Is that a little chocolate? There might be a little, I think there's some little white chocolate chips in there. There is. Little white chocolate chips in there. Again, nice dried fruit snack. Unfortunately the nuts in there are showing their age slightly, but the other dried fruits are still perfectly good, perfectly tasty, and so is the white chocolate chip. Just unfortunately a couple of years past their best, but in their prime would have been a good quality trail and nut mix. I'm going to come back to the chocolate just to cleanse my palate. Now, breakfast. Now I have seen a little advert when I was doing my research. These are the kids cereal breakfast. I can see they're supposed to have milk and maybe sugar, but they are sugar free. These didn't come with any milk, so you would have to eat them as they are. Again, slight loss of crunchiness. I've never had these before, but you do get the impression they're slightly stale. They would have been crunchier and they're just starting to soften, but slight sweetness. Corn snacks, I'm sure most people in the US probably know what they are. First time I've had them, I can see how with some milk, maybe a little bit of sugar, there's a slight bit of sugar on there, but that would be a nice cereal for breakfast. But again, no milk, so you'd have to eat them dry. Now we've got these peanut butter crunchy Valley. Now again, 2 years past their prime, so we'll see how we go. Surprisingly still crisp, crunchy. There is nuts in there, which again, like the other nuts, are starting to turn. They've not gone rancid. You can just see that they're not at their best, but very little taste of peanut butter. More peanuts than peanut butter, but they're enjoyable, very sweet, and surprisingly still pretty good condition. Perfectly acceptable, if just not a little bit tired with age. Got a very nice, crunchy, sweet nut flavour, I would say, as opposed to peanut butter, but still a very nice peanutty drink. That's the coffee. Little addition of some whitener would make that, for my purpose, a lot better. But it's not too displeasant. It's a coffee. I don't think I tried the sea salt pita chips, and again, well past their best, but there's not a lot of flavour. Still crispy, still crunchy. To be honest, there's not a lot of flavour in those. It says sea salt, but everything seems very lightly salted. There is a slight flavour, I think, of maybe the oil they were cooked in, or it says baked, but there is a slight taste of oil which has gone past its best, a little bit on the rancid side. It says baked, so there's probably some other fat in there, or some other shortening type ingredient which has gone past its best, but they're still crispy, still crunchy, and I'm sure they're not going to do you any harm. Now, the smoked beef paprikash, as you can see, there is pasta spirals in a sauce with some vegetables. Taste of that. There's some carrot, there's some bacon. Now, there is something a little bit disturbing in there. Try a little bit more. Unfortunately, I think that something has happened to that meal. There is a metal taste. And bearing in mind it's not in a can, it's been in a retort pouch, I'm sure that metallic taste should not be there. It's very light in seasoning. If it was good, it would certainly need the salt and pepper, and there is a background taste of the smoked meat. But unfortunately, I don't think on this occasion I can actually try any more of that. There was a disturbing metallic background flavour, and seeing as this did not come out of a tin or a can, it makes me wonder where that's coming from. Maybe I don't know the storage conditions, I don't know where it's been all these years. It is 2.5 years past its best before date. It would have had a shelf life of possibly 3 years before that, so it's possibly 5, 6, 7 years old maybe. I just cannot risk any more of that. But the pasta does taste just cooked. It's not soggy like on many of these dishes. Very lightly seasoned. From the bit I did have, would need salt and pepper adding. The smoked meat has a little smokiness that's gone, artificial smoke flavour that's gone through. But unfortunately, something does not taste quite right, so I can't go any further with that one. Now, brief recap. Coffee. Decaffeinated, reasonable attempt at a coffee. Personally would have liked a little bit of whitener in there, but still usable on a cold day. Drinking chocolate, slightly underpowering, underwhelming. Personally, nothing wrong with the flavour. It's just needed a couple more spoons, a couple more heaped spoons of the chocolate or cocoa powder, and that would have made for a much more enjoyable chocolate drink, but still a hot, warm drink. The iced tea, nice lemon overtones. The lemon really is the powering flavour in there. It gets your cheeks. The first sip you have, it actually feels the lemon in your cheeks, so it's a nice lemony drink. Trail mixes, all still in good condition, apart from the peanuts. All of the peanuts in all of the mixes seem to have gone a little bit past their best. They are not rancid, they're still edible, but you just know that they've gone beyond their peak, but still edible and enjoyable. The cereal, is it Kix? Sure should become with milk. If you could have had a couple of sachets of milk powder in there, you could have added a bit of water and made it more like a cereal. but they're still, for their age, decent, semi-crisp, and not a bad tasting cereal. The peanut butter granola bar, Nature Valley, more of a sweet peanut, I would say, as opposed to peanut butter, but even that said, still managed to survive pretty well, pretty decent, and you'd have no trouble eating one of those. And unfortunately, the main meal, the smoked beef paprikash, would have been a nice meal in its prime. Unfortunately, as I said, there is a strange metallic taste, which I'm not happy with. The bit I did taste clearly would need the addition of the salt and the pepper, but apart from that, would have made a lovely, simple pasta style with a smoked meat hint flavoured dish. Now, there is a couple of candies, couple of sweets. I can see that one's sticky. I suppose really I should try one. It's the only thing I haven't tried before I go. Again, past its best, it's sticky, sticking to the wrapper. Sticky candy. Like all hard candies, hard sweets, just gone sticky. Once you suck them, take that stickiness away, they go back to the sweet, not overly flavoured, not overly sweet, not a lot of, I think it's strawberry flavour maybe, certainly red berry, but difficult to distinguish what actual flavour that is. So I'm going to leave it there. Overall, very interesting, very nice to try something totally different. This is the Kosher Ration, made in the US by this company. If any of you would like to go and check them out, I'll leave that there for a second for you. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button for future videos coming very soon. So thank you and goodbye.